Next up, we have a presentation from Graham Kelly, Managing Director and CEO of Noxopharm, with the ticker code NOX. So to tell us more about their clinical stage drug development, I'll introduce you to Graham.
Thank you, Jane. So in the short time we've got, I'm just going to focus on what we see as the value proposition of Noxopharm as an investment opportunity. If you want details of our science, then I'll direct you to our website. So what is our value proposition? Well, when it comes to the decision to where you put your investment dollar, you're spoiled for choice, not just in Australia, but certainly globally in terms of biotechnology and drug development. So what is it that we believe distinguishes Noxopharm from other drug development opportunities? The first thing is that we have a technology platform. And that means that we've got the opportunity to develop multiple drugs. Now, later on, I'm going to share with you a very confronting statistic, which is the appallingly low success rate of drug development. And that means that single shots on goal is a very high-risk strategy. So multiple drugs with multiple opportunities, in our view, is a very significant de-risking strategy. We're also not copying other companies. We're not in a race with a number of close competitors, all roughly doing the same thing. Our platform is unique, and we expect it to lead to revolutionary concepts in therapeutics. The drugs we're developing are in major areas or in areas of major commercial opportunity and certainly major M&A activity by the global pharmaceutical companies. So we're playing in the right space. We also own our drugs outright. There's no milestones or royalty checks to be paid. And finally, we've got a management team that I'm confident has the capability of doing the job. So our technology platform has proven to date to be a rich source of drug prospects. Now to the point where we've been able to identify 4 different centres of drug development. And each centre is capable of its own business opportunities. And so we regard these as 4 separate future businesses. Now, this allows the company to enter into commercial arrangements with any one or more or even all of these business opportunities. The first of these business opportunities is where the company started, and that's with our drug candidate, VEYONDA. And VEYONDA is a completely revolutionary concept in cancer in that it's looking to boost the effectiveness of other common forms of anti-cancer therapy. And that might sound an obvious thing to be doing, but in fact, it's not been possible up till now. No one that we're aware of has been able to achieve this across multiple forms of cancer therapy. And the fact that we can is down to the way this particular drug works. Now, there are 4 therapies that we're looking to combine our drug with. And between those 4, we're covering over 90% of all cancer therapies. And once you develop metastatic disease, that is disease that's spread away from its site of origin, the best that any of these therapies can offer for the great majority of patients is short-term help. And the aim of VEYONDA is to boost the effectiveness of these common therapies, ending up with a survival outcome well beyond what we currently see. The second of these business opportunities, again, is in an exciting new area of cancer research. The current crop of anti-cancer drugs are designed to target the cancer cell. This new approach looks beyond the cancer cell to what's going on in the environment or the microenvironment of a tumour. So we're looking to see what's happening around the cancer cell, not inside the cancer cell. And this new direction has come from a fairly recent discovery that some types of cancer rely on growth signals from neighbouring healthy cells. So they co-opt these healthy cells to provide them with signals that promote their growth. And this certainly appears to be the case with very aggressive cancers such as brain and pancreatic cancer. Now, our technology platform has thrown up a new family of compounds that appear to be able to switch off these signals from the healthy cells. And that opens up the possibility of being able to convert an aggressive cancer like pancreatic cancer or brain cancer into a much slower growing cancer that is more easily treatable. The third of these business opportunities is using VEYONDA to block a condition known as a cytokine storm, which is an excessive form of inflammation that leads on to something called septic shock. And septic shock is responsible for some 10 million deaths each year. That is, it's roughly 20% of all death from disease in humans worldwide is due to septic shock. Now, 2 years ago, the closest that most of us came to knowing about cytokine storm and septic shock was the roughly million or so people who died each year worldwide from the influenza virus. Now, what the current pandemic has done is look to have added about another 2 million deaths each year to that number, along with an untold number who suffer long-term side effects known as long COVID symptoms, many of which are still yet to be identified. And as the world has come to better understand the processes involved in septic shock, something called STING has emerged as a major player. I'm not going to bother you with the science of STING. It's all on our website, but STING is a primitive signaling process that's present in all our cells, whose job it is to detect the presence of a virus. And once that detection has occurred, it then kickstarts an immune response. And for reasons that still remain unclear, that resulting immune response in some people is just out of control. It's just excessively high. And instead of settling down after it's done its job, that is stimulated immune response and got an antibody response to the coronavirus or the influenza virus, instead of settling down, STING just keeps accelerating and eventually results in the body essentially attacking its own tissues. And that is what's killing people in this pandemic. So what's this got to do with VEYONDA? Well, it emerges that VEYONDA is a potent blocker of STING. And to the extent that we are able to check this, it appears to be the first STING blocker that's reached the clinic. Now, we've just finished a trial of VEYONDA in Europe in hospitalised COVID-19 patients. And we're looking to see whether VEYONDA can stop patients' blood. These are people who had been admitted to hospital with low-grade or moderately severe lung infection of the coronavirus. We're trying to stop that damage, triggering this pouring into the blood of something called cytokines, which are proteins that just promote inflammation. And if they reach a certain point, the patient then tips over into septic shock, which means they go into an ICU unit. They're really unable to breathe and to receive oxygen under their own steam. And a high percentage of these people will die. Now, we finished that trial. We've generated over 50,000 pieces of data. It's all being currently reviewed, and we expect to be reporting on this in the next few weeks. This is the fourth business opportunity or program, and it stems directly from that finding that VEYONDA is a STING blocker. Now, beyond the current pandemic, STING signalling has emerged as a major focus in the pharmaceutical industry as a target for chronic inflammatory diseases. So the death from the coronavirus is associated with this hyper-inflammatory condition, which has a lot in common with chronic inflammatory diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis, motor neurone disease, and so forth. So we see a substantial opportunity here to develop drugs that are based around what appears to be a very important discovery on our part of how our drug is working against STING. So we've created a subsidiary company called PHARMORAGE. We've entered into a partnership with the Melbourne Hudson Institute of Medical Research, which is, in our view, the leading investigator in the STING process in the world. And it's a beautiful bit of coincidence that the institute that has that ability is in Australia, and the company that has the first potent blocker of sting signalling in the clinic happens to be in Australia. So the idea is to develop an entirely new family of sting inhibitors. And PHARMORAGE is making very solid progress to the extent that I'm quite comfortable in believing that PHARMORAGE is now at the leading edge of this whole new field of drug development. So this is our management team. I won't dwell on it, but only to mention that the people here have significant experience in drug development generally, as well as a number of senior executives out of the big pharmaceutical companies. So we've got the right blend to continue with our drug development and to take it right through to a point of commercialisation. Now, the main thing to note about our key metrics is that our cash position gives us a decent runway well into 2022. So we're currently well funded. Now, this is the matter I referred to earlier about the appalling statistics, and this is something that companies rarely mention, and that is the extraordinarily high failure rate of drug development. Across the board, for every 250 drugs that enter clinical trials, only one ever makes it to market. Now, fortunately, in the cancer space, the odds are a little bit better than that. They're about 10 times better. It's about for every 25 drugs that come into humans, about one will make it all the way to the market. But however you cut those numbers, they're appallingly low success rates. So this is what we believe are the reasons that make Noxopharm a value proposition. We've got 4 business opportunities, and that gives us multiple shots on goal. And I see that as a major de-risking proposition. And the other thing that I'll just finish on is that we're looking with VEYONDA to help make other drugs work better. Now, the other treatments that we're using are already approved. They're already out there, and they're doing the heavy lifting. We are simply adding our drug to them to make them work better. And that comes with a very considerably lower risk compared to relying on your drug to do the whole lot, to do the whole heavy lifting. And so that just reminds me to thank you for listening, and very happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for the presentation, Graham. I'm looking forward to hearing some news about the COVID clinical trials, as I'm sure a lot of our webinar attendees are as well. We've actually had a question that's come through though. So how does Noxopharm compare against competitors in terms of how far advanced the drug development is?
Well, that's an ongoing horse race, and we keep a close eye on competitive companies. We've got 4 different anti-cancer aims, and in some of those, there are other companies that are working in the same area, but with different technologies. In others, we announced, for example, today that the FDA in the US has just granted approval to run a trial of our drug in combination with external radiation. Now, we're not aware of any other company in that space. So that's something that we have on our own. So we've got a blend of, yes, we're in a horse race, and others we are the only horse in the race.
Brilliant. Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you for joining us, Graham.
Thank you very much. Thank you.